welcome to Function Junction. I'm Eric Fleming.
I'm Sam Timms.
And today we're going to talk about the timer trigger. I think in the previous episode we talked about service bus. This one's a little bit different just because this one actually works off of a time schedule in order to process messages. So yeah, here we go. Timer trigger is the attribute for this one, and then you can see the only parameter that it takes. And this is just the default function new timer trigger. Is this schedule, and this looks a little bit weird, but if you look at, they have some pretty good documentation on some examples of what the actual schedule looks like and what this means. For example, to trigger once every 2 hours. This is the syntax that you're going to be using in order to accomplish that.
Yeah, anybody who's done any sort of like Unix, Linux work will be familiar with this Cron syntax. Yeah, so like that particular one, each character means a different segment of time. So the first one is like seconds, and then minutes, and then hours. So that particular one that Eric has highlighted means do this every hour that is divisible by 2.
And the schedule actually runs with like just the Azure scheduler, and this Azure scheduler has some pretty good failure semantics around it, so you can be pretty certain that you're going to be able to get your messages if something were to kind of go wrong.
That's good.
Yeah. So for this example, I thought it would be cool, which is something I might actually try to use in my day-to-day projects, which is a Slack webhook that it will actually look at the open pull requests you have in Visual Studio VSTS, Visual Studio Team Services, and get those pull requests. If there's an open pull request, it will put a message into a Slack channel that says, "Hey, you have an open pull request." And right now, it's just a simple one-line thing, but you can customize it pretty well to format it how you want to say, all the details from VSTS that you can think of. So it's pretty simple. This one, my timer is actually set up to run every minute, which would probably be pretty aggressive for bugging people about pull requests. It might get someone to look at it pretty quickly, but also might flood your Slack channel. So this is, and I'm going to revoke all these tokens and everything after this. So if you want to sit there and type it out, sorry, it's not going to work for you. So this one, every minute, it's going to reach out to VSTS, get the pull requests. If there's a pull request, it's going to post to Slack, just HTTP requests here, and that's pretty much it. Set up the timer. So let's check it out. Start this. Starts over here. So it's running, and I'll show you Slack. It's obviously open on this window, and every minute it's going to put one of these messages in there. So it just came through at 9:45. We caught it at like 9:49 and 50 some seconds. So in 30 seconds or so, we'll see another request come through. I can put a breakpoint in here. Yeah, and in order to make sure these are running, like set up locally, I'm using the you have to have the storage emulator running. So you have to have the storage emulator and also be using the settings where you just use development storage equals true. I think I've probably hit my breakpoint by now. But yeah, that's it. So every minute this is going to run, and it's going to send a message to our Slack channel, and that's it.
Oh, that's great. This is, I think, an ideal example of something that you want to do with functions. Although we've hit the breakpoint there. Hey,
yep.
Hop over. Tell me what's on that my timer. I'm just curious about what's on that object.
Yeah, so this is just going to be the schedule that you have,
okay.
The scheduled status. That's actually a good point. It's going to say like the last time it ran, the last updated. I wanted to show the function.json output for this one because it does include the schedule in there too. Yeah, so you'll be able to check out the schedule.
Oh, that's interesting. You can set it to run on startup too. So I would probably mean that like the first time, as soon as you started it, it would run it, and then it would run from that point forward.
Yeah, and actually that's why we saw 2 messages come in there pretty quickly. Like I think it outputs it here. Yeah, so this will run at like when we started this up, it said it was going to run at 9:45, exactly 9:45, 9:46, not at like 9:45 and 36 seconds or something.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's going to round it down to the next minute. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I wonder. So let's try it. If we we can process these, and I think it would actually queue up a couple messages here because it's been running for yeah. So 1 went through, 2. I would imagine we get another one here soon. So let's change. Let's see.
This one probably gets overwritten because it's generated, but there's probably an attribute on that like timer trigger.
Yep.
You put something in there. There you go. Run on startup equals true.
There we go. We'll start this again. We'll see if those times change. So it looks like it is not scheduled.
Looks like it doesn't run at all.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
All right. So that might be a follow-up for this one.
Yeah, that's weird. I wouldn't have expected that to really have changed at all.
Yeah, me either. Let's see if this got updated. It is set to true. Huh. Okay. Well, this might be a follow-up to kind of see why that didn't trigger a message immediately when you set it to run a startup equals true.
I feel like a minute has passed here too, probably. Oh, I wonder if this might be a bug. Interesting. Okay.
Could be.
We'll investigate.
There it is. Now let's see. Did it make a schedule?
No, it didn't. So maybe because it's like the second time that you ran it, maybe it used the existing schedule.
Aha.
But yeah, it looks like it's got some fractional times in there.
Yeah. That it does.
And also some non-fractional ones, though. Oh, but look at that. If you hover over is past due, yeah, it says it is past due.
Right, because that was 9:48. It is 9:49 at the moment.
Well, yeah, because it looks like maybe it should have run at 9:47.
Mm-hmm.
And it ran at 9:47 in 13 seconds.
Let's clear the existing ones out.
Yeah, now it's printing out the schedule.
Interesting. Maybe it's because I had it stuck in the debugger there, but as you can see, it's been
busily posting
Slack. Yeah.
All right. So, if you want to deploy this, maybe spend a few minutes and figure this out if that sort of thing is really important to your project.
Right. Okay. Well, right. I think that's it for timer trigger. Pretty simple. And like to the point you were making, this is kind of a perfect, I think, example for a use of an Azure function.
Yeah. This would be the sort of thing that it would be like, it's a huge pain to go and set up an entire web server just to do this. And it would be enough that you would look at it and just be like, maybe I don't need this functionality after all. But now it's super easy. And you're hooking up, like you're literally hooking up 3 different services here. You're hooking up Azure Functions, you're hooking up VSTS, you're hooking up Slack. All in, like 100 lines of code?
Yeah, it's not much. Yeah, and I have, these are just my models for deserializing the requests, and it's 100 lines of code. It was, and I did this, and we'll touch on this a little bit in future episodes of like the deployment pipeline and everything, and getting this set up in VSTS, creating the build that deploys this for you. It took, less than half hour to get everything kind of up and running and ready to go. So like if when I deploy this, it doesn't take much time at all to get this out the door. And then you have this cool Slack integration that's gonna, maybe increase the visibility into the pull requests you have open if you have a lot of different projects. Kind of make this your own. But yeah, I think it's perfect use.
Fabulous. Okay, thanks everyone. We'll see you on our next episode of Function Junction.
All right.